We staged an affair and made sure our cheating spouses would catch us in the act. So, let me start by saying that I've never been one for revenge. I've always believed in taking the high road, turning the other cheek, and all that. But life is a funny way of throwing curveballs at you, and when it came to discovering my wife was cheating on me, I decided to take a detour from my usual path and try something a little different. Here's the story of how I staged an affair with the wife of my wife's affair partner, or AP for short. The day I discovered my wife was cheating on me was like any other day. I had just come home from work, tired and ready to relax. My wife was busy cooking supper and had left her phone in the bedroom. That was odd because that device usually never leaves her side. I guess that should have been the first clue. Anyway, it buzzed on the table, and so I just decided to look and see who it was. She was busy, so maybe it wasn't important enough to bother her with it, so I just looked. That is when I saw it. A very suggestive text from some guy who I won't name here. He doesn't deserve for me to state his name out loud or in a post. There were some very sexually charged messages in their little message history. My first instinct was to confront her immediately, but something inside me told me to hold off. I decided to call an old friend of mine who had gone through a similar situation before. So I torturously ate my supper while maintaining my cool, and then went to my office and called him. We talked for a few hours, and he told me how he wished he had gotten revenge instead of just freaking out. That conversation planted a seed in my mind, and I started to think of ways I could get back at my wife and her AP. After some digging, I found out that the AP was married too, and that's when the idea hit me. I was going to message his wife and see if she would talk to me. Maybe I could get her involved as well. I mean, revenge is great, but it would be even better for both of them to pay. I sent her a message on Facebook, and to my surprise, she called me right away. I told her what I found, and she said she had suspected something and has been trying to figure out what she should do for days. She didn't know that it was my wife that her husband was involved with, but she knew something was up. I told her that I was going to get revenge for what my wife had done. I asked her what she thought about getting some revenge for herself while I was at it. She was not only open to the idea, but she was the one who suggested we stage an affair of our own to piss off our cheating spouses. She turned out to be a super cool person, and we quickly bonded over our shared predicament. Our plan was simple. We'd build up a few weeks' worth of fake affair history, then leave evidence on both sides that would eventually lead our spouses to come and catch us in the act. It was perfect. A little risky, but perfect. Over the next few weeks, we met up every time our spouses had their illicit rendezvous, discussing our plan and fabricating evidence of our own fake affair. We had everything covered, from suggestive text messages to photos of us together in various stages of undress. It was surprisingly fun, and I have to admit that it gave me a sense of satisfaction knowing I was giving my wife a taste of her own medicine. It was also a bit of a turn-on. I mean, we never did anything, but there were moments of heat exchange for sure. We were both above that though, and would quickly get ourselves back on track. Revenge was one thing, but we weren't really going to have an affair. We both have enough respect for the universe and for each other to not actually jinx a potential friendship or maybe more. Anyway, once we had enough evidence, we decided it was time to set the trap. We picked a large hotel party suite as the location for our affair and invited a few close friends to join us as witnesses. We filled them in on what was happening, and they were all pissed at our spouses as well, so they were happy to participate. We then planted the evidence on both sides, making sure to include explicit details about where and when our spouses could find us. I left my tablet open and on my end table. I left the volume up so that when the messages went off, it would be loud and my wife would have to go and look at it. App's wife did the same exact thing. So there we were, at the hotel, sending each other messages on Facebook saying that we were on our way. In the message history, they would find pics of us together and all kinds of flirty and dirty messages, as well as the hotel address and room number we were meeting in. Like clockwork, both our spouses took the bait. My wife started blowing up my phone, which she knew I had in my hand because I was messaging my affair partner. But I didn't answer. She then sent me a text asking me where I was. I told her I was at Home Depot looking for a new lawnmower, LOL. I knew she knew where I really was. I didn't hear anything back. We took turns watching the parking lot out the window. They showed up at the hotel about 2 minutes apart, and we could only imagine the confusion and shock they must have felt when they realized they were both there to catch their spouse cheating. The irony was not lost on us, and we couldn't help but chuckle as we watched the scene unfold from behind the peephole. The cheating husband approached the door first and knocked. We were silent. We wanted to wait until my wife was there as well. A minute later, she came around the corner. The look on their faces when they saw each other was absolutely incredible. It was a mixture of confusion and anger. After all, in their little messages to each other, they openly told each other how much they hated their spouses, and that they only cared about each other. Well, how does that hold up when they're both obviously there to catch us in the act? Damn, the layers and layers are just too good. It's like a fucking revenge lasagna. Anyway, it was the cheating husband who finally worked up the nerve to knock on the door again. We didn't answer for another minute, just to see them squirm a bit longer. They started to argue, the tension between them palpable, and that's when we decided to end it all with the grand finale. We threw open the door and yelled, "Surprise!" as our friends emerged, video cameras in hand to capture the whole ordeal. The look on their faces was absolutely priceless, a mix of shock, disbelief, and embarrassment. They instantly knew they had been caught, and the fact that they had been caught by each other made it all the more humiliating. It was a scene straight out of a soap opera, and we couldn't help but feel a twisted sense of satisfaction and exhilaration as we watched them squirm. I mean, what a feeling. As you can imagine, a lot of fighting and arguing ensued. Accusations were hurled back and forth, tears were shed, and it was clear that neither of them had any idea what to say or do in that moment. Their affair had been exposed, and the tables had been turned on them in the most spectacular way possible. It was a sight to behold, and our friends couldn't help but cheer us on as we faced our cheating spouses. Once the initial shock had worn off, both our spouses tried to play the victim, claiming they never meant for any of this to happen. It was pathetic, really, and we didn't waste any time calling them out on their lies. We told them everything, how we had found out about their affair, how we had created our plan, and how we had meticulously set the trap that they had so willingly walked into. Of course, they were furious, but they had no leg to stand on. They had cheated on us, lied to us, and made a mockery of our marriages. And now they were being confronted with the consequences of their actions. It was a bitter pill for them to swallow, and we made sure they knew that we wouldn't be so easily fooled again. In the days that followed, we each shared our story on Facebook, complete with video clips of the dramatic hotel confrontation. The posts quickly made their way around town, and our cheating spouses' reputations were left in tatters. We received an outpouring of support from friends, family, and even strangers who admired our bold approach to dealing with infidelity. As for us, the betrayed spouses, we continued to hang out and support each other as we navigated the messy process of divorce. We had become close friends through our shared experience, and we knew that we could lean on each other as we moved forward and rebuilt our lives. Looking back on it now, I can honestly say that I have no regrets about the way things played out. Sure, I could have taken the high road and quietly confronted my wife about her infidelity, but where's the fun in that? Instead, I took a risk, and in the process, I met an amazing person who helped me turn a devastating situation into an unforgettable adventure. In the end, I think we both learned a valuable lesson. Revenge is best served layered up, with a side of public humiliation. So, to all those out there who might find themselves in a similar situation, I say this: don't be afraid to think outside the box and get a little creative with your retaliation. You never know, you just might come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and with a new friend to share your crazy story with. So there you have it, the tale of how I staged an affair with the wife of my wife's affair partner. It was a little crazy, but an experience that I'll never forget. And as for my ex-wife and her AP, well, let's just say they got a taste of their own medicine, and I can't help but think that they'll think twice before cheating on their next partners. As for me and my fellow betrayed spouse, we're living our best lives, free of deceit and betrayal, and looking forward to whatever the future has in store for us. A revenge lasagna. What do you guys think? Could they have added a few more layers to the stack? Or did they do enough? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.